Galerie Ré opened up its doors to the public 7 years ago. We are interested in young, unknown artists, and we give them a chance to express themselves freely in this space. I chose for this exhibition 11 artists that are from Morocco and from France and other countries. And the important part in my choice was that I wanted the artists to be, first of all, not so well known, but talented. This gallery really always chooses these kinds of artists that I would like to promote, that I discover either here or overseas. And we can start maybe looking at the exhibition with this first work that is made by a French artist who settled in Morocco for many years, Raphaël Durance. In this composition, of course, we can go back to Malevich and all the school of Malevich, and then the followers, but there is something that is very minimal, but also that's very articulate. This is very three-dimensional, and the artist is interested in giving you the impression of perspective. On this wall, we have a photographer, and her name is Tiffaine Giron. These are impressions she had and photos that she took in the Moroccan desert. She wanted to outline the colors of the desert and the texture of the stones that she really found in the south of Morocco. This artist is from Casablanca. It's a woman called Khadija Kabaj, and she uses parts of dolls, Barbie dolls and other dolls, and she creates compositions that are quite dynamic, I think. And we know that doll works with dolls started with the Dadaists long time ago, and then many artists interpreted this their own way, and I think this way, the arrangement of the dolls and the shape of the heads, the way they turn, is very lively. It makes us think of lots of movements in art. Here we have a major work by Raphaël Durand. I asked Raphaël for once to use colors. Raphaël doesn't like colors, and I insisted on colors because Marrakech in Morocco is full of beautiful colors, and I wanted warm colors. So he created a group of works with colors for Galerie Ré, and this is one of them, using fabrics. It's printed fabric, and then he painted the red on the fabric to give it a different texture. If you look at the back of this work, you will see how complex it is. It's not just a canvas, but it's several canvases to stretch the fabric on the canvas. It's quite a tour de force, and I think the result is quite stunning. Khadija Kabaj again, with her gimmick of the Barbie dolls and little dolls, but with the humor here, associating the 20th century dolls with Egyptian mummies. And I think this is quite humorous. And the lower work with the mummies that have different positions is quite lively, I think, as a whole. And she even used a golf course background, so to speak, for the mummies. So we can see the humor here. This installation of Hamza Fakir, who is a very young and talented artist, practically unknown, works for us. And we were thinking of a topic for this Biennale and for the gallery. And he came up with the idea of having silhouettes with a group of people using their mobile phones. But none of them are communicating together. Each one is so concentrated on their conversation that they ignore the other. And yet we wanted to put them as a group together, even though they don't look at each other. Exactly as we do in life today, you find lots of people in streets picking up the phone and not thinking about anything else but their conversation. Yasmina Ziyad is our youngest artist, and I think a very talented one. We had 3 or 4 exhibitions showing her work, and we sold practically the whole show. And here she's using, these are little accads, which are buttons that she's incorporating with threads and fabrics. But she is the most promising artist, I think, or at least one of the most promising artists of the gallery. This is a work of Raphael Durand, and we can see the same textures that he uses with the fabric, and this is a very vibrant red against the black. I think it's very effective. In fact, it is so strong that some people last night at the opening thought that there was a backdrop light behind the canvas, but it isn't. It really is the color that is against the black. Gives us this feeling of movement and almost fluorescent light. Yasmina Ziyad with an odyssey, I call it, of ships in the ocean, or as other people see it, figures, but it's very intricate work this time, with the play of red, gray, and black against that very light background. It's a very, I think, monumental work of this young artist. An artist who is not as young as the others, but very creative, and his name is Zubeid, and he does use, as you can see, bubbles of Coca-Cola in this robot, and any other container. He is in that tendency of using materials that we would usually throw away, creating works that are quite stunning, like this red-eyed robot presenting a flower and an apple to the viewer. He also makes animals, like this little dog that we call Tito, and who's looking at the robot and is saying, "Oh my God, this is awesome." Lauren Clark is an American artist who lives in Marrakech most of the year, and she works with the Galerie Ré. She decided to create these spirals, and in these spirals, Laurie uses chicken wire and other kinds of wires, copper as well, to give it texture and color. She uses fluorescent colored wires, fabrics, creating these spirals that we call comets too, because they light up at night and they're always moving. Our friend, le rat des champs, which is the rat of the fields, I suppose, he looks very content and very happy. This is a bronze work of Gilles de Kerverseau, a French artist who doesn't live in Morocco but who exhibited here in this gallery. And he always has a sense of humor with his animals. And here we can see that the rat is represented as a happy, fat, well-doing peasant. And also the smile on his face is quite nice to see. This is our rhino, and very amusing profile with the shape of the rhino, with the hump and with the tail, and this is very popular actually. This artist is a Moroccan artist who works with materials that he puts in the oven. At the first time it is cooked, let's say, at 1,000 degrees, and then he recooks the sculpture at a higher temperature to get some glazing effect on the surface. And this one is called à cœur ouvert, which means, with an open heart. And then he has another sculpture of the same type, showing another bust of a female figure. Another artist that we're showing in this exhibition is Imad Mansour, an Iranian artist. He uses plaster and he does installations such as this one with hands, feet, and other parts of the body. And these fingers pointing at heaven, something that is very sculptural. Very amusing representation of Bin Laden made out of wires, and the artist Ilkem decided to cut his legs off and give him a black glove to show his personality. And then we decided to add a little white flower, which is a symbol of peace, I suppose. He's surrounded by hedgehogs and that are in plaster, and hedgehogs actually are the symbol of evil and bad thoughts because they really live in cemeteries, and they're surrounding Bin Laden, who's standing there with his long beard. It was very amazing. Yesterday we had somebody at the opening who came in and said, "Is this Bin Laden or a rabbi?" And I said, "No, this is Bin Laden." And they said, "Well, the beard." And I said, "Well, it's not just the beard. There are other things to look for." And this is a very promising artist as well. He likes to have figures or subjects that are very controversial. He is a very engagé artist, so to speak.